Hey folks, Pops here from Bourbon Banter, and I'm super excited this afternoon to share two brand new samples that we received in the mail. The first one we're going to get into is the 2022 Yellowstone Limited Edition. Always a fan of what they are doing there at Limestone Branch Distillery with their limited editions. And then the other one, which I'm super pumped about, is the King of Kentucky. Now this is a 15-year-old expression. There's an 18 coming out as well, but we're damn happy that they sent us the 15-year-old sample. We're going to dive into that one. So let's go ahead and get started with the Yellowstone. Now, this Yellowstone 2022 limited edition comes in at 101 proof, okay? And this is a blend of 7, 15, and 16-year-old age bourbons, okay? So 3 years, all blended together. Now, once again, we don't know where these whiskeys come from, right? Limestone Branch is not making the whiskey that goes into this Yellowstone Limited Edition release. But hey, that's okay. As long as you're sourcing good whiskeys and doing something great with it, that's all right in our books. Now, historically speaking, they've often got the bulk of their whiskey from Heaven Hill, and they've also gotten a lot of their whiskey from the old Barton 1792 distillery. We did a barrel pick just under 2 years ago, and that Yellowstone Private Selection was a Barton distillate, and it was fantastic. So we have no complaints about where they're sourcing their whiskey from. It all comes down to when they blend it and they finish it, how's it taste, right? So this one is unique in that the 7-year-old bourbon that goes into this blend was actually aged in some wine barrels. Now specifically they are Marsala Superior barrels. Okay, that's a sweet, dry wine that's aged in those barrels, I believe, for about 2 years, then they're emptied out. And then this whiskey was further aged in that, right? It's going to get some dried fruit, some citrus influence from those barrels, okay? Now, once again, cast finishing bourbon in any type of wine barrel has been, from my drinking experience, hit or miss. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's just trying to hide inferior whiskey. But with the age of the stocks going into this blend, I'm hoping for the latter and that we get something really, really tasty. So let's go ahead and give it a taste and see where this nets out. So, first thing, the nose. That's a lovely nose. It's not overpowering at all whatsoever at 101 proof. Got some dried fruits, maybe some apricots in there. Touch of oak spice, a little bit of leather. Very lovely. You definitely get a little of that vinous or that winey flavor in there from those barrels. Once again, more fruit. A little bit dried spice coming from the oak. Plays really, really well together. What's interesting here is it complements the bourbons in the blend. It's not coming across as trying to hide something. It's not overly tannic forward, which sometimes those wine finishes become on my palate. So I'm really digging this one, and quite frankly, it might just be subtle enough that if I didn't know it had a wine finish, I might not pick up on it. I might just thought it was a really, really cohesive blend that fits just right on my palate. So this is very, very delicious. Now this is going to be $99.99 when it hits shelves in September. So anybody who's been reading Bourbon and Banter for a while knows that as you get to the $100 or higher price mark, I get really, really picky about bourbon because so few of them are worth being north of $100. In this case, they've done a really good job of taking 3 components, blending them together, adding a little bit of finishing in there, and creating something that, quite frankly, is greater than the sum of its parts. So this is absolutely delicious. The 101 proof point feels solid, doesn't feel too watery, doesn't feel underproofed whatsoever. As always, I'd love a little bit higher proof, but hey, this is hitting just the sweet spot for me. So this is definitely a bottle recommendation on our scale of a bottle, bar, or bust. So call in some favors, get in line, and try to get a bottle of this when it comes out here in a couple of weeks. Now, as good as that was, the one I'm really been looking forward to is trying the King of Kentucky bourbon. This comes out every year from Brown Forman, and in the past, some of the years have been really fantastic, and some of them have just been, well, too brutish, in my opinion. This one, well, let's go ahead and dive in and see how this one is going to taste. Now, before we get into the notes, something you got to understand, there's a 15-year version coming out, all right? and it's going to be $249. Damn, that is a lot of money. That's about $149 higher than I'm ever comfortable with. But as if that wasn't too expensive, there is the 18-year-old expression coming out, and that's going to be a whopping $349. So that is a lot of money. A lot of money in anybody's books. And just looking at the notes here, there's going to be 3,500 bottles of the 15-year-old, and there's going to be only 250 bottles of the 18-year-old. Okay, so this is going to be much harder to get than that Yellowstone Limited Edition, which is going to have around 30,000 barrels in the market. 30,000 bottles, I'm sorry, not barrels. Wouldn't that be absolutely fantastic? So what can you expect from this bourbon? Well, I can tell you right now, on the nose of the 15, it immediately reminds me of a delightful, lovely, dusty bourbon. You know, with a little bit of acetone on the nose, dark fruits, almost a little bit of a rum funk on there, just sitting on the rim of my nose. I absolutely love it. I mean, if you had given this to me blind, I could have quite possibly thought it was a dusty bourbon. I mean, once again, at 15 years, there's a lot of age on that, but it doesn't come across as over-oaked. I'm very picky. Tannins bother me, and when you start getting above the 10 to 12 year range, often things just don't work for my palate. They get too much barrel, but at least on the nose, I'm not picking that up. It's absolutely lovely. Honey, dried fruits, rich spices, baking spices, a little bit of that funk and acetone. Let's go. Wow. That's fantastic. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I hate to endorse a $249 bottle of bourbon, but this is absolutely delicious, and I could drink this all day. On the palate, rich spices once again, balanced out with those dark fruits, some oak. You know, I think in the press release they talked about some sorghum flavors, and I've had some sorghum whiskeys and whatnot, but maybe that's where I'm getting a little of that rum influence. I don't know, but that's absolutely delicious. Yeah, if you like older, dusty bourbons, this is going to hit your sweet spot. This is really fantastic. I can't speak to what the 18-year-old tastes like, personally. More the same kind of notes. A little bit of tea leaf and ripe tree fruit, and more molasses is what the press release notes say. But I'd be curious if 3 years adds too much tannins. But the tannins in this are perfectly balanced with the flavors that are going on. So I have to tell the folks there, Brown Forman this year, they've hit a home run with this release. And quite frankly, based on the last couple releases of Old Forester Birthday Bourbon, which have been, panned compared to the quality of yesteryears, if you're going to invest in a bottle, this one is a much better choice if you can get it. $249, limited availability, but if you're going to call in some favors this year, this is definitely the bottle, at least so far, that you should call those favors in for. So once again, thank you very much to Limestone Branch and Brown Forman for sending me these samples, and I hope you guys enjoyed this quick review, and we'll hopefully be able to use this information to plan your September bourbon hunting season. So until next time, folks, remember, if you're going to drink, drink curious.